So I got another question here when it comes to your culture demographic, if you don't mind. Coping skills. Are
Yeah,
there anything different with coping skills from like North American culture or your culture?
this is interesting, right? Because coping skills, I look at so you're talking to a therapist here, right? So you're talking to someone you're talking to someone who's looking at coping skills from the way of ways to self-protect from difficult feelings, emotions, anxiety, shame, guilt, or what's underneath that core emotions, right? Anger,
Hmm.
sadness, hurt, right? Fear, right? So when I hear the word coping skills, I need to, in my mind, reframe that for this conversation as positive because it is positive, right?
Oh, of course.
But it's
Yes, yes.
positive when it's not in denial of your emotions, when you're not coping by overworking, when you're not coping by like overeating or like exercise because you rather do these things and face what the difficult emotions that are maybe under, right? Like ways to connect to more of this like more in-depth work around what's coming up for you, right? So now positive, okay, so let me go there and here where it's like coping skills from a negative outlook can be when you're using it as a way to self-protect or distract from more difficult things that you're struggling with, whether it's internalized shame, guilt, or anxiety, not having clarity about something and the emotions that are attached to that. Healthy coping skills. This can all look the same way as long as they're done in a way where you're not denying what's like feelings and other things that may be attached to the way you're coping, right? So if you're coping with grief or loss by going and working out nonstop, right? And like trying to stay focused. If I just stay focused on this workout or in this class and I focus on cardio, then I'm not like thinking about what's happening for me here. Also, grief and loss is its own thing. And I'm not going to ever judge anyone for coping in any way they need to in any season or chapter of their life to do that. But if you are doing that to not process difficult things versus if you're working out a healthy amount and you're also maybe like assessing what's happening for you versus going to food versus going to things to cope with it, that's different, right? It's all balance. So I had to reframe the way I was looking at coping.
Well, what about for your culture? Is there anything specific, or is it
I would say
like I like how
community.
you bring up overworking? Is that something that's within your culture? Because I know for sure.
I think so. I think that this is, and this also goes back to this like inherited idea of like perfectionism, right? This idea of like, what is enough? When there's overworking by itself is should. I should be doing this. I should be getting this done. I shouldn't be taking care of myself. I shouldn't go out on the weekend, right? I should. That's an unhealthy way of coping. Start tracking when your shoulds are coming up, right? That's a huge one. I think another one is for it's so hard, right? It's so hard to like say
Yeah, of
positive
course. I'm
coping skills.
sorry.
No, but that's not like that's something that I need to recognize. It's like coping should be being able to go to community. Coping should be being able to have these discussions with family. Coping should be having support. Coping should be taking time off, right? But like because of my lens of working with people from South Asian backgrounds, from children of immigrant backgrounds, and from just people who are struggling with the other side of it, it's coping is I've always like coping for me is how they're self-protecting from issues that are really coming up because the communication isn't there and the community support isn't there to feel safe to do these things. Coping should be being able to talk to your family, being able to get support, being able to go to therapy, right? Being able to go run, work out, eat healthy, enjoy these things. Coping shouldn't be doing things overly working over like isolating yourself, not talking to people because you're not trying to face other things.
If you want to hear more stories, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like. To support more youth by youth led projects, visit us at youthspeak.ca where you can donate and spread youth mental health awareness.
YouthSpeak Performance Charity. Speak, inspire, change.